Good morning on Friday, the 7th of February 2025. It's 8 a.m. in the Gambia, and therefore coffee time on West Coast Radio. On YouTube, our program is sponsored by the award-winning Jah Oil. Thanks for joining us.
In a world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jah Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jah Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jah Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jah Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.
Honorable Baboucarr Joof, the Minister of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, has dropped in for a quick cup of coffee on his way to work. So everything, including the newspaper review, is dropped for later in order to hear what he brings to the program. And I want to believe that at the heart of his conversation with me will be the bilateral labor agreement signed with Saudi Arabia and Spain, but also with the UAE, as we were told some time ago. 77115999 or 9910959 or 9232333 if you want to take part in the conversation. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for passing by.
Thank you very much, Uncle Peter. Thank you for having me this morning. Good morning, Gambia. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So it's a busy week for your ministry. All the headlines are being made by this circular migration to Spain. Give us the background in the first place.
Thank you very much. We're all aware that recently many African countries and other countries in other parts of the world have been grappling with this surge in illegal migration to Europe in search of quote-unquote greener pastures. Mm-hmm. And just like a report that came out last week thereabout stated that Gambia lost 1,600 of our citizens trying to cross the oceans to reach Europe.
Lost in what sense? That they died or they just left the country?
Died, according to this report.
Oh, that's striking.
The number that left the country could be far higher than that. Government found this a very difficult phenomenon to deal with. As a result, we joined what has become a trend globally, that we formalize migration in the sense that we support those who are committed to embark on it, mm-hmm. to ensure that we provide them legal pathways. And this conversation is what led to this. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and ourselves, responsible for labor management, found it necessary to engage some of our partners, our bilateral partners, to find opportunities like this, which other countries have been doing for decades.
India especially.
India, Malaysia, Indonesia, but closer home. Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, Senegal, Nigeria, they're all over the place. Recently, Sierra Leone. So we also felt we should provide our citizens this kind of opportunity to be ferried across, but not only giving them the opportunity to be legally accepted in other countries, but provide them structures that could be resorted to in the event of abuse, which happens in this kind of engagements. So that was the reason we went into this. So we have signed 3-4 bilateral agreements. In fact, the one with UAE has not started operations, but Qatar, we realized, has an agreement with the Gambia. And some years ago, the government of the Gambia was even engaged in taking migrants to Qatar. So we engage in Qatar to see...
Does the Qatar agreement precede the Barrow government?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay.
It does.
That's why we had very little of it.
Exactly. But we've just found the instruments, and the embassy in Qatar is engaging with the Qatari government to see where we can pick this up. But in addition to this, Peter, we also in touch with new host countries that have realized Gambia is now coming in. They've heard something about our character, our behavior, and all these things. There are some Gambians living in those countries like Portugal. Countries like Italy have just reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs a couple of days ago. They also want to engage Gambia on similar lines. So we are open to all these opportunities, just ensuring that at the end of the day, Gambians that take on this journey have some life-changing opportunities to come back home and invest at home, support the progress that is being made by diasporans, and add to the remittances to this country, come in with new skills so that at home we are able to do a lot more for ourselves.
A very positive view. I'm sure many Gambians would agree. But equally, you have people who are opposed to the idea. I'm sure you've had one or two people on this program criticize the move. Can you understand their reservations?
Oh, yes, I do. So the context is very important. If you are looking at this from the perspective that the government is exporting its labor, you can come from that angle and we can understand. But if you understand it from the context that we are trying to formalize something that actually will happen anyway, and in that sense we believe giving them the legal pathway reduces the risk of losing lives, reduces the risk of being engaged in a battle with a situation without having recourse to any process that can redress whatever challenges you are facing in those homes. So this is the difference. I understand, but this is not government deliberately exporting her citizens to other countries because we want them to be enslaved, we want them to be abused. They will go anyways. They will. Yeah, somebody talked to me about 10,000 forms being given out by the Labor Department just in a week. It will be more than that. But for me, that is now progressive, that these 10,000 people are not scrambling on boats to go to Spain. They are scrambling for forms to be legally ferried to a safe destination. I think that is positive. That's a positive first step.
And when you talk about the situation, I suppose from a government point of view, that would be the pull factor.
Yes.
And from critics, it would be the push factor, and which all comes down to employment, or others would say unemployment. If youths had the requisite employment rate, do you think they would be living in the numbers they are?
You see, again, that requires contextualization. Last week or the week before, His Excellency the President went to the university campus in Faraba. It's amazing, Peter, that out of 400 workers, and, I'm sure my brother and friend, Prof, will confirm this to you, we are made to understand that more than 80% of the labor being provided in the construction at the university is from the sub-region. So those thousands of brothers and sisters looking for forms could have been in Faraba building the structures for our new university. You see, this is a global phenomenon. I'm just coming from Saudi Arabia last week, where we had a global, labor market conference, and people from all over the world were there talking about labor migration in the 21st century. It's just strange that most of the time what we reject at home is what we are proud to do outside our country. Those building our university in Faraba are from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal. When we have Gambians here who have similar, skills or are unskilled, but are capable of providing the same labor and getting paid. But because this is Gambia, they are Gambians, they would not be comfortable maybe going there and doing the cement work, but that is what we as a country are working on. And that's why Prof and the Ministry of Higher Education is so focused on skills development. We need to work on our skills base, ensuring that, yes, we are building skills, a skills bank, but one that matches the requirements of the market. We cannot all be radio presenters or cameramen and women in studios. Some of us would have to go and do the buildings. Some of us must be carpenters, plumbers, electricians. We are the ministry responsible for employment, and we are conscious of the fact that from the last labor force survey, which is the most reliable data we are having on the Gambia, the numbers are very high and alarming. And this is not a trend that we expect to slow down over the next couple of years. And that's why maybe you will want to ask me what we have done in that area. But we've been anticipating this kind of pressure. So this is not government's 100% or a response to unemployment. We consider this a strategy to deal with the illegal migration part. But locally, government has plans to ensure that jobs are created. And perhaps when we get there, we can talk about that.
We'll get there very quickly. I'm just worried about the numbers. I mean, if it's only 50 per year, that's not a lot for Spain.
No, that's not the number. Again, that needs some clarity. The agreement requires that we have a pilot phase. And the pilot is to test and show the Gambian youth how the circular migration is going to work. It's just the test part of it. A few months down the road, the numbers can swell. I give you a typical example. Morocco, which is a developed country, is no longer a least developed country, it's part of the developed world. This year, 20,000 Moroccans are crossing to Spain to do similar work. 20,000. Morocco would be in the thousands, Mauritania will be in the thousands as well. All these countries started very small. Morocco started with less than 100. Today they are sending 20,000. But there is a precursor, there is a caveat, and that's what's very important. When I saw those people scaling fences, I was worried. And I was saying to my people, these are people that you don't take to Spain in the first place because they are not going to follow instructions. You want people to go to Spain, it's circular. They go to Spain over a period when the assignment is over, they need to come back home.
You don't trust they will come back home?
No, that's why the selection is going to be tough.
Those who are scaling the fences?
No, I don't expect those people. They would never follow instructions and guidelines. The guidelines are go to Spain, you are given a temporary permit. You will be in Spain for a period of 6 to 9 months, depending on the length of the season, the harvesting season. Once it is over, you are expected to return to your country, report to the Ministry of Trade, report to the Spanish consulate. Your information is inputted back into the system that you have returned to your country. You have 3, 4, 5 months back home doing something useful, and we hope the next season you are invited to go back. 4 years down the road, you are given permanent residency in Spain. Meaning, after your seasonal work, you can opt to remain in Spain anywhere. Whenever you are required, you are invited back to the fields to work. So this is the program. But 4 years requires patience. Those scaling the fence, we are not patient. So the screening, and that's why this pre-selection campaign has started now. They'll be traveling. The first cohort will be traveling in April. We hope before then we would have established a database of all those that are interested. We'll do our selection. There is a process of selection culminating in if it is 50. And I'm saying this because the 50 is a proposition from them.
Okay.
That we can start with 50. We can end up starting with more than 50. This is the way diplomatic channels work. They have suggested this. The discussion between them and the government is ongoing. It can end up being more than 50. And that's what we'll prefer. But it has to be a control number for a start. Then we go to Spain, do what we've got to do, demonstrate that we are credible people, we are sincere people, we are clean people, hardworking people. We create a reputation for Gambia. You see, we have a great advantage as a country due to our proximity to Spain. They were bringing South Americans to Spain a lot to do this work. Comparatively, Gambia is 3 hours and a half to Barcelona, and that's where this work is taking place. Coming to Gambia and picking workers is far cheaper than having to go to South America. Our height as Gambians, physically, because there's nothing to hide about this. We are going into the farms to do harvesting. Now, you don't need people who will have to get up a ladder to reach oranges. If you have Gambians as tall as myself, you can be on the ground and do the harvesting of some of these fruits. So these are all things that they look at. But the cost element, the economic part of it, is the cost of tickets from Banjul to Spain compared to other parts of the world. Just like we are facing challenges. Saudi Arabia to Gambia is 8 to 9 hours of flight, whereas Ethiopia is 2 hours direct flight, 3 hours direct flight, you are in Ethiopia. So they stand a greater advantage over us in Saudi Arabia. These are the things that investors are rational people. They look for profitable investments and engagements, and we hope that Spain is going to be big eventually.
So if on average, we haven't spoken about Saudi Arabia yet, but if the revelation in the National Assembly is that one earns $200 in Saudi Arabia, how much would they earn in Spain?
In Spain, we are told this has not been finalized. We'll have to see the contracts. That is the third stage after the selection. But we are told that they are being paid the minimum wage in Spain, which would be slightly below €10 per hour. So it depends.
Oh, okay. So it depends on how many hours each does per day.
Per day.
That is then, totaled, over the 30 days and paid to you. Let's talk about the Saudi Arabia deal. Apparently, it's been on.
Yes.
It's been on, but, the public knows very little about it.
Yeah, from the get-go, people were more focused on Spain for obvious reasons. Of course, we know a lot about Spain from the football part of it and all these things. Lampedusa has been here for years.
Yeah, and the chance of disappearing into the EU.
Exactly. So Saudi Arabia has been on in terms of the recruitment process. You talked about the $200 per month, which is real. That for beginners in Saudi Arabia, they have their own system. In the Mosanet, which is the platform that recruitment takes place, that's where the two sides interact and agree contracts. This, remember, it's an offer and acceptance. It's a contract, a real contract. The recruiters in Saudi would offer the agencies in the Gambia that if I'm bringing domestic workers to Saudi, I'm offering them $200 for a start. The inexperienced ones, the experienced ones, those who have been to the Middle East before, may start with $250 or $300 per month. And this includes, the fee does not include cost of accommodation, feeding, medical, care, and all these things. Your ticket to Saudi and back, all this is covered in the agreement. But this is what they have as a basis. It can be up to 250. During my mission, I met an agency that was ready to go that far, that high. It could even be higher than that. But you see, this is again a process, and Gambia is not on the ground yet. They know very little about us. They are asking about Gambians, how are we committed to work, how much we are sincere. Because in Saudi, there are certain principles that they need to know. But the point about the 200 that I'm making is other countries are accepting even less. I know countries that started with, from our research, 150 per month. And if Gambia is going to start, we need to start somewhere. I'm not saying $200 a month is enough in my mind. I would want to see more than that. But unless we take this 200 and create a reputation again, like Malaysia. If a Malaysian steps in Saudi Arabia today, nobody offers them 200. They have gone beyond that. Even as a beginner, they start above 500. But that's because over 20 to 30 years, they have been consistently working in
Saudi. That's
Saudi.
how long it takes to establish a reputation?
Exactly. You need to do that first. But I believe when we get to the skilled labor, which is also starting, because the Saudi agreement has two components. One is the unskilled labor. The other one is skilled labor. They have now requested that we go in. They now want Gambians to go and provide caring in care homes. They want Gambians to go and look after babies, nannies. They want us to go and teach. They want us to go and do some nursing work in the hospitals. This level is also commencing. That is going to start at another level.
How will how do you plan to deal with the notorious Saudi kafala system?
We have a committee that it's a joint committee between Saudi and Gambia. The embassy staff are in this committee. We have NATIB, who are Gambia's specialist institution in this kind of thing. We have the immigration. It's a very, very complex arrangement between the two countries. In the agreement, we have made it's very clearly stated in the agreement that those things will not be condoned. And agencies that give workers to, hosts that play whatever games they play around this abuse of, human rights and all this, anyone who violates the rights of our workers will be delisted from the Mosinat, meaning they will not be able to recruit people from any part of the world anymore. This is agreed, it is clear. To say it will not kick in once in a while, I will not sit here and guarantee that.
And when it does?
When it does, we have a structure to seek redress, and that is why this is different from those that go clandestinely.
People would say, you are Saudi and Gambia, you're dealing, but not as equal partners. Saudi would always have its way over the Gambia. Some
people will say that, and they have a reason for saying that, because in terms of economic might, we are not in the same league. We understand that. But when it comes to diplomacy, countries are playing as equal partners. They have a right under the ILO conventions. We have a right under the ILO conventions to call them. Beyond the committee's work, we will be in a position to march to the ILO and bring the two sides together and have some arbitration, some form of arbitration between the two countries, and we go back to the implementation stage, just like other countries are doing. The ILO, International Labour Organization, is there as an institution to support the governance of labor globally, and both countries are part of the ILO.
So finally, when the numbers come out and you're being held to account against the 150,000 jobs over 5 years that the government has promised, will these bilateral agreements, the people who benefit from this, also be counted?
No, that's not our strategy. In the country, we've talked about this several times, that we expect a lot more between the private sector and the government in terms of employment creation. But at the government's level, we have two very important programs that are, in our views, the answer to the 150,000 jobs. I'm very confident that we will deliver on this. And I'm on air to say, with the introduction of the special economic zones, which is the first time Gambia is going to have a special economic zone. This is going to be held, it's going to be located in Jarasoma, the Jarasoma end, on the Trans-Gambia Trade Corridor. We are hoping the implementation will start this year. We are heading to India. The consultants that did the feasibility study are Indian-based, and they have invited us to go and see the implementation of a special economic zone in Chennai. We are heading out there next week, a 15-man delegation from all stakeholder institutions to see how this will have an economic, impact on the Gambia's, development. That particular project alone, when fully implemented, should create 100,000 jobs minimum.
Wow.
100,000 jobs. In addition to this, these boys and girls that are eager to go to Spain, Portugal, and other places under the bilateral labor agreement, we are working on a program, and our partners are with us in this, that's going to replicate what farms you are having in Spain in this country. If this goes through, it means in future you don't even need to scale a fence. We'll be doing our selections from local farms that are coordinated by the Ministry of Agriculture in conjunction with the Ministry of Trade. We go to those farms, select our farmers, go to Spain. When the time ends, they are supposed to come back. They come back and go to farms in this country where they go and deal with vegetables, poultry production, animal husbandry, fisheries, aquaculture, so that at home, jobs will be created. So with these two programs, Uncle Peter, 150,000 jobs will be an understatement. But that would not even account for what the private sector is doing in terms of job creation. We have been very vibrant in formalization strategies to ensure that most of these workshops that are having apprentice systems graduate those apprentices with skills, and the professor and the Ministry of Higher Education will provide them certification that will be accredited by NACA so that they can now go into the world of work skilled and considered skilled workers. All this will bring in transformation that will ensure that the 150,000 job is doable, it's realizable, and we are confident we're going to hit it.
You need more than 30 minutes, and which we don't have. So I'll end with a question from the audience. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Good morning, Honorable Minister. While the agreement with Spain offers new pathways for employment, its success in enhancing local opportunities in the Gambia will largely depend on how it is managed, the integrity of the process, and the government's commitment to using this as a springboard for broader employment strategies. Sir, how do you plan to adequately address the risk of corruption, including fraudulent agencies and bureaucratic corruption?
Thank you very much. In fact, that's why in the first place when I came in, I ensured that the Labour Act we were reviewing in 2023 made adequate provisions for licensing of agencies. At the moment, anybody who runs an agency in this country without a license that bears my signature is an illegal agency. So now it is a requirement, it's incumbent upon all agencies to be registered with the Directorate of Labour, issued with a license, and that license comes with conditionalities. So in the first place, the clampdown begins with ensuring we regulate them. So this regulation is the first tool that we have in place. I'm currently working on regulation, which is a further interpretation and a more detailed form of the instrument that will provide adequate stop valves and stop guards to ensure that even when abuse takes place within the ecosystem, we are able to track them, and the law will take its course.
Somebody wants to know, and I'll make this definitely the last question. Can you please ask the Minister if they consulted NHRC on the issue of human rights in the labor agreements?
Yeah, human rights. That's the National Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
I know we had a wide-ranging consultation around this, and if, for instance, they were left out, we will have to go and correct that. I, on top of my head, cannot say if they have attended or not, but I know the committee is a very, very broad-based committee. Let me just, for that texter, verify that, and we'll be happy to come back here and give you the information.
Yeah, because, maybe Spain not so much, but the Saudi deal.
Yes.
worries a lot of Gambians.
I know.
And there's the UAE still to come. And
Yes.
you tell us now that Qatar has actually been going on for a while.
Yes.
Although nobody ever spoke about it in the past.
Exactly.
Which is why, I keep saying I love the new Gambia as far as, information sharing is concerned.
Sure.
Ababakar, thanks for coming.
Thank you,
People will
Peter.
never understand why I call you Ababakar. It's been Ababakar from day one.
Tell them I'm your Raka, and thank you. And I can use this opportunity to say good morning to my Koro Kuku. I'm sure he's listening.
He is listening. That was the Honorable Minister of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, Honorable Baboucarr Usmaila Joof. It's Friday, the 7th of February, 2025, and live on West Coast Radio, it's Coffee Time with Peter Gomez.
In a world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jah Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jah Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jah Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jah Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.